Welcome to the very first episode of this podcast on how universities can help to tackle urban challenges, learnings from Ghent. My name is Sarah, I'm an audio maker from Ghent, and I'll be your host for this series of 5 episodes where we'll be exploring the many ways that cities and universities work together. We'll be particularly focusing on the theme of community-based research and learning, and I'll be talking to a number of guests who are all leading on this approach in different ways in the city of Ghent. To kick off our series, I'm going to be talking to Willem van Winden. Willem is a veteran in the e-Universities network. Back in 2012, he helped to develop the network, and he still supports the network as a moderator and expert advisor. He works as a professor at Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences and runs his own consultancy firm, Regeneralize, for sustainable cities. Willem will set the scene for why it is so important for cities and universities to collaborate and why this is such a great topic to show how this collaboration works in practice. Welcome, Willem. Can you briefly explain for us what the e-Universities network is and what it stands for?
Yes, thank you. The e-Universities network is a network of cities and universities from medium-sized cities in Europe. And medium-sized cities means like the size of Ghent. So we have not the big ones, but the cities where universities play a really important role. And what we do in the network is that we discuss how cities and universities can collaborate more in a lot of topics, like for example, student housing or urban planning or mobility or urban challenges like climate change or whatever, you name it. And what we do in the network is to discuss for all these topics, like how can cities and universities work better together to improve the student city or the university city. And this is quite unique because most networks have only universities as members or only cities as members. And in our network, we have tandems. And there, we have a unique approach, and we meet twice per year, and then we have a conference in one of the member cities and universities, and there we pick one specific topic and we go a little bit more in depth, and then we share like how do we tackle this topic in the members, and what are the issues, what are the challenges, what are best practices, and so on.
Yeah, when you mention universities, of course, I think about students. So can you maybe tell us something about how you involve students in the work of the network?
Yeah, of course, students are really important. For every meeting we have, or every conference, we invite students. For example, when we discuss student housing, of course, it doesn't make sense to have no students there. We need their voices, we need to have their views and their opinions. So we always invite students from all the members to join our meeting. And normally the students just mix with the professionals in the meeting, but also they typically have their own workshop where they develop their ideas about the topic that we are discussing there. Yeah, so it's not always easy to have students from all the cities involved because the student population changes all the time and there's a lot of hassle with traveling and organization, but normally it works. Yeah.
So your last meeting was in Ghent. Can you briefly explain what the topic was in Ghent?
Yeah, in Ghent we discussed how city and university can really solve or discuss societal challenges. That every city has challenges like poverty or dealing with climate change or energy transition. We are all facing that. And in this conference we were exploring how can cities and universities collaborate to tackle these issues in such a way that it creates solutions for the city, but it also is a great learning environment for students and also for researchers. And this sounds very logical, but in practice it's really difficult to create a system or to create collaboration around these topics. And we met in Ghent to discuss this, and actually Ghent is really good at this. We saw a lot of great examples how you are dealing with this in Ghent. For example, the Common Project is one great example where there is one challenge in the city is defined, for example, mobility, or how can everyone have access to the medical services in the city. And then there's a lot of things organized around it with students, with research and so on. And then after a few months, you have really solutions that work and that are implemented. So this was a great example. There are many more. And during the Ghent meeting, we discussed, we visited the practices from Ghent, but also the other members of the network showed what they are doing. And we tried to learn from each other how to do this in a good way.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Willem, for setting the scene. Now we are all set for the next episode of the podcast. And in that episode of the series, we'll be exploring this topic from an academic perspective with Professor Katrien van Poek.